They're not going well. We seem to have turned some sort of a corner. How much of a corner is, I guess, the point here?
Yeah, amen to that. They're the worst for XG in this league, though, Jimbo, which that is a statistic I do like the look of.
It feels like a go-again situation, but then you've got half an eye on the game at Stevenage at the weekend, which does muddy the water a bit.
I mean, it'd be mighty handy if we could play 14 players, wouldn't it? And
Yeah.
get an awful lot of these players in. I really want to see Fanny go back to back to back to back and prove that he can keep on doing it, because this is a guy who can grab football matches by the scruff of the neck and who can lead us to good things. It's off to Bloomfield Road for Matt Bloomfield and his team on Tuesday night as we head to Blackpool for the rearranged game from earlier in the month, and alongside me to preview what's probably hopefully going to be a more enjoyable game than it might have looked a couple of weeks ago is the Lutonian journalist James Cunliffe. Jimbo, off to Blackpool, really good record there. Let's build on Saturday.
Yeah, really good record. Let's hope we can just do the business there and keep this train moving in the right direction.
Absolutely, yep. We'll look ahead to the game and all that's around it right after this intro. Hello everyone, welcome along to another episode of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, the award-winning, longest-running Luton Town podcast, having scooped bronze in the Best Football League podcast category in the Football Content Awards. This season, the show is in association with Solid, providing opportunities, provisions and assistance so our academy can fulfil their potential. As I mentioned prior to the intro, we're looking ahead to a trip to Bloomfield Road on Tuesday night to take on Blackpool, and I've got Jimbo alongside me to do that. If you've not got a ticket to the away end on Tuesday, it is pay on the night if you make a last-minute decision to go, but if not, Sky Sports Plus is showing this game because it was from the international break where they had all of the games on that weekend, so that's good. You've got TV coverage if you need it. Jimbo, nice to go to a place where we've got a good record, a really good record actually. If you take out the semi-final defeat in the playoffs, we're at 6 unbeaten there.
I would like to take out the semi-final defeat. I was very unhappy that weekend.
Well, let's forget it ever existed, Jimbo. We'll be more than happy to do that. I'm sure Nathan would have wished it didn't exist that particular night. In terms of regular league play, haven't conceded a goal in the last 4 there. You have to go all the way back to 2002 for the last time Blackpool have beaten us at Bloomfield Road in regular league play. Let's hope it continues. Magnificent 7, please.
Well, hopefully, yes, the signs are positive. I mean, they're not going well. We seem to have turned some sort of a corner. How much of a corner is, I guess, the point here? But yeah, before everything started going a bit awry earlier in this month, the talk was, yeah, we're only beating those teams at the bottom who aren't doing very well, and we're struggling against the teams at the top. Well, okay, so we've arrested that against Doncaster. And now we've got to just carry on doing what we were doing against the teams at the bottom. Hopefully we can. So a lot more positive about going there this time because it felt like, and it still is actually a banana skin, but not a massive banana skin.
Yeah, weird season for Blackpool, third from bottom. At the sort of time that we're recording this, well, it's not going to change, is it, before you listen to this? Quick quiz question. Can you remember who scored the winner there last time we were there?
For us?
For us.
What year?
2 years ago. 3 years ago, sorry.
Adebayo.
You referenced him in the last podcast. No, Luke Berry. Luke Berry header from, if it wasn't a corner, it was some sort of set piece down in that corner. Really, as I said, we've got a really good record at Blackpool, and hopefully that continues. We're on a trend here of coming up against former Luton players left, right and centre. The last 3 teams have all had 2 ex-Luton players. This one's got another one, albeit he might have blinked and missed his Luton career, Josh Bowler. This guy's going to have a point to prove, isn't he? Because we signed him to be not the next best thing, but we certainly signed him to resurrect his career and probably put it more in the gutter than what it could have been because we changed formation a week or two after he came into the building. Here is a guy who's got a platform to show us exactly what he can do, and save it for Saturday, Josh.
Yeah, I suppose that is a concern because he's a decent footballer. He just the way they told him they were going to play was different to how the way they turned out playing. Barely had his foot in the door, did he? So yeah, if he wants a point to prove, then certainly. I don't think Josh Bowler could go and win a game all on his own. Is the good thing, and I hope those words don't come back to bite me on the arse. But but Blackpool are struggling. They're not in the top metrics for pretty much anything. Which, when you look at when you try and break this game down statistically, bodes well. I guess I don't think, and it might not happen for a while. I don't think the Luton fan mentality is quite out of the, but we've been gifting everybody and their sons and daughters the step up that they need when things aren't going particularly well. And, to a certain degree, that's true and understandable. So it's just, we've got to avoid that aspect. But you play like they did for the first, 50 minutes against Doncaster. And then I think that Blackpool will struggle.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of delve deeper into why Blackpool are third from bottom, because they're a big club at this level. I mean, last time they played us was in the Championship. And of course, they played us a couple of times in the Championship. I remember the home game, in League One. I remember the home game where we was on that crazy unbeaten run, and Jason Cummins scored in injury time, didn't he? The only goal that he scored for Luton, and kept that unbeaten run going in April of the season that we won this league. And it's they're a big club. I mean, they were in the Premier League 15 or so years ago. Why are they third from bottom in the Championship? Sorry, in League One. They've got a manager who's managed at the very highest level, done thousands of games as a manager, in Steve Bruce, who, I don't know, maybe he's got his eyes on going to watch cricket like he often does, but I don't know. They're the worst for XG in this league, though, Jimbo, which that is a statistic I do like the look of, because whilst we're still finding our feet defensively, still patchwork in terms of players in personnel and positions in the new formation, if we're playing against the team that creates the least chances in the division in terms of quality of them, that should make it a little bit easier for them.
It should, if Saturday's team performance shows up again, because they kept Doncaster Rovers to 0 shots on target in that first half, and very little after that. I think Josh Keeley made one save, maybe. They may have had another one on target, but in terms of making Keeley do any, real work, it was just that one chance, I think, I can remember. So, if you've got another quiet evening, sorry.
I was going to say, I hope he has a quiet afternoon.
I hope he has a quiet afternoon, a very relaxing one. So, and then an even more relaxing one once he takes to the pitch, because if the defence can play like they did again, and I guess we'll talk about the personnel, because there's not much to choose from at the moment, and it's a 3-game week, so it's a tricky one. But that there were plenty of causes for optimism about how they operated, because they just had to defend. They didn't have to worry about going forward, some of them. And that, even though Makosso took it on himself to do that, but that was a joy to see in itself. Simple instructions carried out simply.
Defenders defending. I can get used to that. That's fine. Niall Ennis is the focal point of the Blackpool attack. On loan there last season from Stoke, they signed him permanently in the summer. 3 goals this season. He's their leading scorer. Hey, we yet to have someone who scored 3 goals, so not going to sort of talk that down. However, he is the only one who's got multiple goals for them. Everyone else has got one. Look, they're a low scoring side, aren't they? Created not many opportunities. Scored 2 goals in their last 6 games. Their attacking output is really giving me some encouragement to believe that we're onto a winner here. And another player to watch out for them, we've come up against him quite a few times, is George Honeyman in midfield. He's kind of good on the ball. It's probably similar to George Saville, actually, isn't he? Good on the ball, gets his foot in, can lead a team forward, and he's good with set pieces. So I think we come up against him at Millwall and Hull in the last few seasons. So he should be well known to us. Just keep tabs on him. But really, from what I'm seeing, and again, it's only statistically, look, you don't get too many games where Luton play at different times to everyone else in this league, so I can't watch too many teams. I'm only watching highlights and statistics, but from what I'm seeing, Blackpool aren't going to create too much of a threat unless we allow or help them with that threat. And 5 games this season, we haven't really done that, have they? Okay, maybe Wigan was a clean sheet that we probably didn't deserve to keep or rode our luck to keep, sorry. But yeah, if we defend cleverly, if we just sort of do the basics right, there should be a result there for us just based on their lack of attacking numbers.
Yeah, and we talked about the defence and how well they did, but the formation lended itself so well to giving protection at the back, and Saville has been doing that. He's been, I think Saville's probably been a 7 out of 10 for most of the time, at least 7 out of 10, which is what you want. It was a consistent performer.
I mean, if you're picking a player of the season now, you probably are picking him, aren't you? Or maybe Keeley, but yeah, you are. You're right. He's one of those that you don't notice because he does I don't really like the term ugly side of the game, but the side of the game that no football fan goes to desperately wanting to watch because it's not the fast, free-flowing, fluent stuff that everyone does want to watch.
Yeah, but
does that side of it, doesn't
that's
it?
what Marvellous did in the season we got up, and everyone loved him for it. And I think Saville's got more about him in an attacking sense. He's certainly got some assists on to his name this season, not least at the weekend when he crossed that in for Cal Naismith to get the winner. So, that formation with the 2 in the front, him, and I hope it's Fanny, because as we said in the last one, he'll play that 6 role, but he'll be an 8 as well, and he'll go forward, which complements the 3 then in front, who had varying different degrees of success in that game, with Morris being the best of them. I think that it offers protection from any threats that they may have, and statistically not many. But then it's all about whether they can impose ourselves going forward and do what they did in that certainly the first half an hour at Kenilworth Road at the weekend against Doncaster. If they can do that, then I think that this could be a really good evening for us.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how we go on Tuesday night, Jimbo, because the first question that this formation has to answer is answered it at home. Can it perform away from home? Can it be successful away from home? Obviously, at home, we're still playing against teams who are not necessarily thinking of beating us at Kenilworth Road, but more frustrating us and then seeing if they can nick something. Certainly that was Doncaster's game plan, wasn't it? People going down left, right and centre in the first 20, 25 minutes.
I think that they were taken aback, as we probably were, by the surprise of the pace of how we were moving the ball and the runners everywhere. They were getting bamboozled, but I think that half of that was down to that. I don't necessarily think that Grant McCann sets up his sides to go and nullify people. I think they probably just got a shock.
Well, let's hope Blackpool get the same shock. Let's hope they weren't watching on Saturday and we can shock them. Listen, in theory, and this is the first away game, so all we've got is theory, but in theory, this formation with these personnel should work even better away from home than it does at home. Teams aren't going to be defending quite as deep as what Doncaster were at the weekend away from home. Certainly Blackpool. I mean, they might be third from bottom, but they've got ambitions of much higher than that, I would imagine. Certainly after the way that last season finished. So they're probably going to be a little bit further forward, which opens up an awful lot of space in behind for that front 3 who have got an awful lot of legs, an awful lot of pace. And if there's space in behind as well, they'll be licking their lips strongly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was kind of a bit cautious about whether, you can go again, but they're all young as well. So yes, Fanny's not had that much game time, but Nelson now has, and Shaden Morris played a bit anyway. So he had, it wasn't like some of the other players that they didn't have a pre-season or he was injured or anything like that. And he's doing well. In fact, the only real sign that I've seen of anyone being able to stop Shaden Morris is if you double up on him. But that was in the old formation. If you double up on Shaden Morris, then the other 3 come into play, and that's the bonus of this formation, isn't it? So even if they played low against Luton with Shaden Morris there, he's shown signs that he doesn't care about that, because from a standing start, he'll take 2 yards on you, and you can get to the byline and cross it. And then it's about is there enough players in the box that can connect with that? And we saw at the weekend that there were plenty of willing runners trying to do that, which I don't think we'd seen too much before. In fact, last season was littered with that, where Carlton Morris was out playing on the wide positions or picking it up there, and there's no one busting a gut to try and get in the box. And that's why even when the results started picking up under Bloomfield, once he got going, that it was still only 1-0 here and there, and a bit of a grind because there wasn't that attacking flow to it. What we saw at the weekend was more what I guess he's hoping that he can take from that Wickham side that he had into this one. It's taken a while, but hey, hopefully it's here now.
Yeah, amen to that. Let's hope it is here for sure. You mentioned it's a 3-game week. You also mentioned that there isn't a great deal of scope for team changes. Do think we're expecting Jerry Yates back for the weekend, so that's a positive. I don't know if there's a press conference before this game. There isn't always on midweek games, particularly long trips to Blackpool. I assume they're going to go up on Monday, so there isn't really any time for a press conference. So we're kind of thinking that it's as you were in terms of what he's got available to him. Obviously, he confirmed, didn't he, before the Doncaster game that Clark and Longwake are going to be out for a fortnight or so, or even slightly longer in one of their cases.
There may be an opportunity. There may be a chance that Clicker could come back for this one, which then poses an interesting question. I think, based on the performance of the players that were there at the weekend, that he's just going to have to sit this one out. But he is not just under Bloomfield, but a few managers now favoured a lot and seems to be an ever present. So, but based on the performance of the whole team at Lincoln compared to the performance of the whole team against Doncaster, I don't think you can make a strong case for anyone to break into that side right now, unless it's for a tactical reason or hopefully not another injury, because we've got enough of those at the moment. But it feels like a go again situation, but then you've got half an eye on the game at Stevenage at the weekend, which does muddy the water a bit.
It does do, yeah, that's for sure. I'm with you. I think it's a go again situation for a couple of reasons, really. We need to find a continuity to this team, and you're not going to find that continuity if you keep on changing when you don't have to. Of course, if you've got injuries, then you have to change it, and that's just unfortunate. They will only have had time for a sort of warm down session and a quick tactical session, I would imagine, in the lead up to this one. There isn't time for full on sessions. If they're travelling, I imagine they'll try and get something in somewhere on Tuesday, but it's a long way to travel, isn't it? Somewhere along the line, as those of us that are going will find out. But so hopefully they've not picked up no more injuries. There didn't seem to be any injuries after the game. It seemed to be all sort of tiredness more than injuries, didn't it? And we're led to believe through Matt's post-match press conference that he took Shaden Morris off to protect him. So that would tell us that he should be okay. If not to start, if it's Kadir's turn to start, then for Morris to come on, play the last little bit. I guess the one thing, you look at it, there's 2 older players in this team, isn't there? Nicky Wells and Cal Naismith. Can they do 3 games in a week? Well, Nicky Wells probably won't have to if Jerry Yates is back for the weekend, and his was concussion, so you wouldn't think that's going to get pushed back. That's just the timings of the concussion protocol. So he'll be fit for Saturday. Of course, there's still Lassie Nordos, Joe Bode as well. I suspect we'll go with Wells again, because he hasn't played a great deal of football, has he? It's not like he was doing 90. He only did 45 at Lincoln and things like that. So I think we'll go there. Naismith's the interesting one, though. I think I'd go Bramall left back here, and I know we've got to find a captain, but I think I'd go Bramall here because I think I'd rather have the control of Naismith and the experience of Naismith in. We might not think it is, but Stevenage certainly think it's a derby on Saturday. So it'll be a kind of different kind of game. So I think I'd go with Bramall here, and if we're ahead, then bring Naismith on to close the shop up rather than how we did it on Saturday with Naismith starting and Bramall doing that job. I just think Yeah, I just think I'd go with that. I mean, whoever's at left back's going to be up against Josh Bowler. He made it perfectly clear he's a right winger and nothing else. So he's going to be up against Bowler. So it's not like Bramall's got a speedster up against him. So he should be able to handle that, and he'll still have Millie Ali in front of him, won't he? I just think, and listen, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Cal can do 3 games in a week, but if he can't, then this was the one I think I'd let him step aside from. But then, who do we give the captaincy to? Saville, I suppose.
Yeah, potentially. I think in a sense of preserving some of your best or most influential players, then that might be a good shout. And you don't know whether Bramall's illness last week played a factor in him not starting anyway this time around, because I think he's due one. When he came on as a cameo, he performed really well. And he provided another outlet as well as Bode did, and he was pretty good. Somebody sort of mentioned Barnett. Listen, you can only beat the team you're playing against, but he played pretty well against that even with the goal. So, I think that might be a sensible way if you want to preserve Cal for Stevenage. You're certainly going to need nous and experience and grit for that one, and quite fair props to them. Let's not talk about it too much now, but they are flying high, absolutely flying. So that's a massively difficult one, because who wants to go there and lose? No one.
Indeed so, yeah. I think the rest of the back four are okay though, aren't they? I know Mengi hasn't played too much football, but running a bit short of centre halves at the moment, aren't we? Obviously Nigel Longwake's out, and we're using one of the centre halves, two of the centre halves, if you include Naismith, on the fullbacks. I suppose Naismith could play centre half if Mengi can't go, and go Naismith and Mads Anderson. I'd be surprised if Mengi can't go though. He's been out for so long that he's just done. What did he do at Lincoln? 65-ish, something like that. He's just done 90. So, hopefully he'll be fine. And then we'll look at it on Saturday when, maybe someone else is back. So the rest of the back four are the same?
Yeah, for me, I don't really want to tinker with it too much,
No,
like I say, because it was so solid and worked so well. The partnerships were good as well. There was a fair amount of covering, bar that one counter-attack that Doncaster did, but we got away with that one. So don't want to do too much tinkering. I think the one that you have suggested may be clever management of the situation, but at the same time, I wouldn't. I also, if they think that he can do 3, I wouldn't begrudge him picking that same back line, because it was so effective. It really is. I don't know if maybe we did, maybe we didn't think we played that up as much as it should have been in the previous one. But as a defensive unit, yes, the 4, but with Saville in front, and really the whole team were outstanding.
Yeah, they were. I think we played up the attacking more than the defending, because the formation is therefore more attacking than defending, isn't it? We've done the defending to death in the other formation, and we don't need to do it in this one as well. Central midfield, there's obviously 2 youngsters in there. I mean, Saville's going to play, isn't he? Saville, he's a smart cookie. He doesn't expend too much energy when he doesn't need to, and he certainly didn't need to on Saturday, because, we were in control of our own destiny for 55, 60 minutes of it until until others around him started tiring. But Zach Nelson's young. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. That means that you should have the energy to keep on going. Lamine Fane, I really want to see him. I really hope. I really, of all of the team from Saturday that I want to see again, and of course I want to see Morris again, and we're going to see lots of Morris. I really want to see Fane go back to back to back to back and prove that he can keep on doing it, because there is a player, I said it a few weeks ago, didn't I, when I was talking about Jake Richards in comparison to Jordan Clark. I didn't use Lamine Fane because we didn't know exactly where he was in the pecking order. This is a guy who can grab football matches by the scruff of the neck once he's had a few games under his belt, and who can lead us to good things. That's not to say that Richards can't. I still stand by what I said. And if we need to see Richards here, I'm absolutely fine with it. But I just really liked what I saw. I liked what I saw from him at Coventry, and unfortunately, we've since found out that he was ill after that game. I've now seen again something that I really like from him. And there was a game last season as well. I think it was Derby that he impressed in as well, and then got injured straight after that. If he can go game, not necessarily 90 minutes, fine to do an hour, hopefully get in front, and then Marv comes on and shuts the shop up or whatever it is, then that's good. But this guy is just... Listen, we were reportedly spent somewhere in the vicinity of 4 million euros on the fella. You know, 4 million euros in League One should be taking it by storm, and I really believe he can do. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see him play from the start here as well, and just go at them. Worry about us. Don't worry about them, and send him on to do good things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a very big pair of lungs on legs, and he just runs and runs and runs. And the way that he drove through the midfield should be frightening to certainly a touchwood, to a team that isn't faring so well at the moment. There was so much more cohesiveness between the different areas of the pitch, and there has to be with just one up front. I know the three behind are supposed to there to link up, but then we saw so much space between what was the midfield when it wasn't working in the three at the back system to when we moved to the 4-2-3-1 system. But him being so versatile to switch between the 6 and the 8, and when you're attacking, he's in there, but he will do the dirty stuff as well. From what we saw, yeah, I want to see him again for sure, because he looked absolutely outstanding. And if that's just sort of like a starting point where he's going to get better and better, I didn't want to change that. I thought he was outstanding.
Yeah, I did too. You gave him your man of the match, didn't you? I did too. I thought he was my man of the match on Saturday. He was excellent. Yeah, I'm not worried if it's Morris on the right, because it will be Morris on the right at some point. Him and Kadir, they are blatantly going to share 90 minutes, however it is that they're shared, whether it's 45-45 or 60-30 or 30-60, however it is. That's our right side for now, and I'm fine with that because I've no problem with Kadir either. And actually, I really like him in that position rather than the right back position. That's not to say that I didn't like him when he was playing deeper, but again, going to that Coventry game, he was much further forward in that Coventry game, even though we hadn't changed formation. And he got to the byline an awful lot. He can do the Morris stuff. He just doesn't have that standing start speed that Morris has, does he? That's the thing. And then obviously on the other side, Midley Ali, that's fine. There'll probably be a time where we need to rest him. And maybe that is Saturday. Maybe on Saturday you go Naismith behind Bramall, like we did when Bramall came on, just to make sure that you're defensively solid and things like that. But there's no signs of needing to bring Ali out of the side, and hopefully he can have some joy down there. They're queuing up at centre forward now, though, aren't they? Okay, we've got no Yates here, but you've got Wells, who's got the shirt, didn't do an awful lot wrong with it. You've got Joe Bode, who has built on each cameo that he's got. We've got Lassie Nordos, who, until he got poleaxed in that Plymouth game, seemed to be getting better and better and better. And then, of course, we've got, Yates and Al Hamadi to come as well. The centre forward position's looking very good. Whoever it is, well, sorry, but you've got to score if you want to keep your shirt, haven't you? And that's not to say that I'd take Wells out of the side here. I probably wouldn't, because if we're not playing Naismith, I'd like some form of experience in the team. And he might actually be the captain rather than Saville. I don't really know their sort of leadership qualities, but I think I'd go with Wells for the experience. But I'd have no problem if I see Bode in the starting lineup.
No, I wouldn't. You hope he gets more game time as he keeps going. Whether he gets that from the start, I don't know, but I wouldn't be disappointed there, because I think he looks like a man that is primed to bully pretty much anyone. I mean, Matty Pearson was in that defence, and he was, bullying a lot of that back line against Doncaster. Wonderful cameo. So, yeah, I wouldn't begrudge him. I think that what Wales did, particularly in that first 25, 30 minutes, when we were talking in the previous podcast about all the runners and stuff, that obviously he made that run for the penalty that he won and then subsequently missed, but he was doing that a lot and not necessarily being found, and that's par for the course. So you might probably make about 15 runs for every time you get found, but he was making them and it was opening up space, and I think that was quite clever movement from Wales. So I think that I'd go with Wells for a start. I don't think he'd be captain. I think Saville's the man with the chat, so I'd give it to him if it wasn't Naismith.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I've no problem with Saville being captain. Yeah, I'd go with Wells because generally when you play against a team who underachieving, that would tell me that they're a team that haven't got much confidence. And if you press a team that hasn't got much confidence, I'll show you Lincoln away. If you press a team that hasn't got much confidence, by and large, you're going to win the ball back very, very easily, or much easier than what you normally would do. Who's our best presser outside of Yates? Who's our best presser? Probably Nicky Wells. Peterborough's goalkeeper says very much high to that particular statement, doesn't he? So, yeah, I'm fine with Wells. I just want to see this back four. I want to see Lamine Fane again because I really liked watching him on Saturday, and I haven't liked watching too much over the last 12 months. So when I do see something, I want to see more and more and more and more of it. And I want to see how this formation plays away from home because it has the potential to really do some damage. Okay, I still don't expect us to go gung-ho for 90 minutes here because we've got a third game on Saturday and we're picking from a reduced squad. But I do expect us to create a lot of chances on Tuesday night or get into those areas where Matt keeps on talking about that we get into at will. I expect us to get into those. And you would think, again, with it being a numbers game, the more times you get into those positions in this formation with all of the midfield runners going forward, the more likely it is that Ali and Morris are going to find Luton players in the box. And when you find Luton players in the box and we're getting a bit of confidence having just won a game, the shots that are flashing just wide are suddenly going to start hitting the target, and then eventually they're going to hit the corners, and corners of the goal, that is, not corners of the corner flag. And then eventually...
Millie Yali's had a go at that already.
Well, yeah, indeed, yeah. There's a few corner flags that we've peppered this season. And then in turn, they're going to end up in the back of the net, and then all of a sudden your 1-0s become 2-0s, your 2-0s becomes 3s, and that's how he kind of done it at Wycombe, didn't he? He made a point in the pre-match press conference that he got the job at Luton playing a back four, pre-match press conference for Doncaster, that is, playing a back four at Wycombe, averaging 2 points a game, averaging 2 goals per game. It's kind of where I expect us to be away from home in the not too distant future using this personnel.
Yeah, and until everything went awry from Plymouth to Lincoln, we were sort of at that point of points per game anyway, not necessarily the goal. So, yeah, I would like to see that. I would throw a little wild card. I'm almost certain he probably won't go for, but I wouldn't mind seeing because we saw Jake Richards. He's bumped up the pecking order, or was it the weekend, because Clark was out, which Bloomfield said before, and every available player that they've got is going to be in the squad. Got a nice little run out as a cameo, some nice little touches. His movement looks very good. When he receives the ball and when he's on the half turn, he's already known what he's going to do. I think that Zach Nelson had a more subdued game against Doncaster. And I think if Zach Nelson is viewed as the player that's higher up the pecking order for now than Jake Richards, then that says to me that he might be better given a rest and held for Stevenage in the same way we're talking about the Naismith situation for different reasons. And then Jake Richards play that central 8-ish role, 8-ish 10 role. I'd quite like to see that.
Yeah, I'd sign for that. I want to see more of Richards as well. I mean, it'd be mighty handy if we could play 14 players, wouldn't it? And
Yeah.
get an awful lot of these players in an awful lot easier. Yeah, no, I'm absolutely fine with that. The more Nelson, Richards, Fannies that we see in this team, the better, really. Again, I've got nothing against Clark. I just think that these players can grab more games by the scruff of the neck than what Clark has done in the last few games. But, time will tell in that situation, won't it? That's pretty much it for this episode of the podcast. Obviously, if you do have a ticket for the away end or you're going up there on the night, be as loud and as proud as you can be. Let's build on Saturday's win. Let's get right behind these boys. They're usually well supported, aren't they, Blackpool? I'm sure they'll make a bit of noise. Night games usually a bit better as well. Long journey, but hopefully we make it worth it. It has been in the recent trips that we've had up there. 2002, the last time they beat us there in regular league play. That was 5-2. We don't need none of that nonsense.
Well, I wouldn't mind 5-2 in favour of us.
Well, yeah.
To get the goals up and get a hatful and get the confidence in that regard. But from what I saw at the weekend, I'd be very surprised if anyone's going to get 5 against that 4.
Don't go there, Jimbo. Don't tempt fate. We're starting to tick in the right direction. What will be, will be. How does it finish, though? Score prediction time. That's how we'll finish this podcast. Blackpool v Luton.
Well, every time we've won, we've done it via a clean sheet. Let's clean sheet again. And I'm still going to go conservative with a 1-0.
I thought he was going to take my score out of the equation then. I'm similar to you. I'm going 2-0. I just don't think we'll go 90 minutes here because, it'd be naive in the extreme to go all out here and have nothing left against Stevenage on Saturday. And we're going to hopefully have Yates back for Saturday. But, the prognosis isn't too many back for Saturday. I think we're kind of hoping that Huddersfield game goes for a walkie and we can have 2 weeks to get some players back for the, is it Rotherham after that? I think it is, for that game. So 1-0 for Jimbo, 2-0 for me. Get your score predictions into this one. Not as long to get your score predictions in for this one. Hey, the fixtures are coming thick and fast this week, but we've tried to get this out to you as early as we possibly can. I will do an instant reaction after the game. Jimbo and myself will be back. We'll record the full podcast on Wednesday night. That will be out with you Thursday morning. And then a Stevenage preview will be out to you as early as we can get it out to you on Friday. And then that will take us in nicely to the Stevenage game. Thanks for watching or listening, however it is that you've consumed this podcast. We've tried to keep this one fairly quick, but obviously it's a long journey for so many of you going up. Hopefully you listen to that on the way. And come and see me if you see me, and say hello. We always like to hear from people who are watching and listening to the podcast.
Bit of bumping into quite a few of them now, which is nice, isn't it?
I
I always find it a surprise. So if you ever do tap me on the shoulder, I'm like, what? Because I like coming here just to talk with my mate about football. So the fact that you're out there and watching it is still a bit balmy to me, but thank you.
It's a bit antisocial, this one.
No, I like it. Don't stop doing it. I'm always a bit shocked that it happens. I mean, the last time it happened in the zoo, so I was like looking at fish and then
I know.
tap on the shoulder.
I got it in a theatre in London on Friday. I thought, what's going on here? I was doing my own bubble. It was it's the last place I expected to find a fellow podcast listener. So, thanks for all your support. I really appreciate that. As I say, keep your eyes and ears out for our instant reaction, which will be up as soon as we can get it up after the game. Jimbo will have a match report. It's also live on telly if you're not going to the game. And we'll do it all over again later in the week. Thanks also to the folks at Marsh House, the proud new home of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, and to Sean Grant and the Wolfgang for our intro music as always. Till next time, where we'll reflect on a Tuesday night trip to Bloomfield Road. From Jimbo and myself, come on you Hatters, let's go on the attack.